you gotta give me a piece of you. Yeah. Yeah. That's what she said. You gotta be on the table. Literally. On the spread eagle. Manuela had already been on half of her outings with the Duchess. Where did we get to have? What do you mean? You didn't even remember who she was. Bianca. Bianca. But also, the biggest thing is, remember I said China. Race China. And give their relationship a chance. What relationship? Hey, welcome back to my channel. This week I have what I'm calling third time's a charm. This means that I'm going to be reading my third book of some authors who I think might become a favorite author of mine. So I'm definitely one of those people that will read one book by someone and be like, oh my gosh, like this is a favorite author. Girl, you've read one book. I'm exaggerating. Most of the time it takes 2 books. But I want to go for 3. Because with 2 books, it's always like one might be bad, one might be good. And it's like you need that third book. Luckily, in this case, all 3 books that I want to read in here, the 2 books of those authors that I read were either 4s or 5s. I just want to solidify, you know, these authors as becoming a favorite of mine. The first author in this video is Adriana Herrera, and I'm going to be reading An Island Princess Starts a Scandal. The first book of hers that I read it last year or 2 years ago. It was a Christmas erotica, and I don't like holiday books, but especially Christmas. Oh my gosh, I hate it, but I read it, and it's called Her Night with Santa. This is a 3.6 Earth to my camera. This is a 3.68 on Goodreads. I gave it a 4-star. All I said for my review was talk about a fun time. That's it. It's sapphic. One of the women, I think, is Santa or is like Santa's daughter, something like that. It's a Christmas one, but I gave it a 4-star. And then my first full-length novel of hers was A Caribbean Heiress in Paris, which is a 3.94 on Goodreads. I believe this is in a video of mine. I don't remember. Oh, it's the video where I'm searching for a 5-star romance. It is in that one. And it was a 5-star for me. This is a historical romance. I think it's going to be a trilogy because there's 3 main girls mentioned in that first book. The main character in there, Luz Alana, Manuela, and Aurora. So I think they're all going to get a book. Luz Alana is the first book. And the second book is Manuela. This is, I think, sort of taking place simultaneously as the first book, because I remember there were moments in that first book where we got a glimpse as to what Manuela was getting up to sometimes. Manuela has gone to Paris to show her paintings because she's an artist. We learned that she's actually set to marry some man back in her home country. And she's still planning on marrying him, but she was given this one last hurrah, you know, so while she's in Paris going to this exposition, she's also going along with her 2 best friends, Aurora and Luz Alana. Manuela has some kind of land that her grandma left her, and this comes into play with our other FMC because this is sapphic. Her name is Cora, and she's a duchess, and she's very powerful where she is. She is a part of like this little group, I don't know what it's called, but she's like head honcho. She's head of the pack. In order to secure her, like to stay where she's at, to secure her spot, she has to convince Manuela to sell her her land. What happens is they make a deal, and Manuela tells her, I'll sell you my land, but you gotta give me a piece of you. Yeah. That's what she said. You gotta be on the table, literally. On the spread eagle. She didn't go that far, but you were part of this deal too. But it's not just sexy times, but it's also just showing her, because they are lesbian, right? And well, technically she is. Because I'm like, well, she is set to marry someone, but I think she's being forced. That doesn't necessarily mean that she's bisexual. I think she's, but she hasn't said either. So maybe, let me not label her, you know, as something and she's not. No, I'm pretty sure she is lesbian. not bisexual, because she makes a comment. But anyways, I'm getting off track. Showing her a good time there. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm on page 110, 111. That's probably 20%. I'll say 25. I'll say 20%. I'm enjoying it just as much as the first one. I'm curious how that's going to hold up because they have already kissed the first night that they meet. They've kissed again, and they finally have made the deal of, okay, you can sell me your land. In exchange, I will show you a good time here. But again, I'm just curious how that's gonna go because it seems like it's gonna be on the spicier side. And I don't, even though I gave the first book a 5-star, I don't remember everything, you know, so I don't remember. I think it got spicier, or it was spicy in the middle. But I just feel like because we're gonna focus on the deal that they have, we're gonna get more spice in this. So we gonna see.
Good morning, y'all. I just picked up the book from where I left off. I'm recording on my phone. I'm so sorry. I left off on chapter 11 yesterday, page 148. The deal is Cora will take Manuela on 8 outings. I just got to chapter 11. The chapter before that, they went, I guess, on the first one, which was just dinner. Manuela had already been on half of her outings with the Duchess. Where did we get to have? What are we going to be doing? I hate when it's rushed like that. So you're telling me she's already been on 4 outings? What are we going to be doing in all of this? Another thing. I understand not rushing. I understand summarizing some of the events. I wasn't expecting to see, some of the outings. I wasn't expecting to see all 8 outings. I guess I was thinking that it would be the last couple of outings that we kind of skimmed. Or like the last, outings 6 and 7. Not 1 through 4. Technically 2 through 4.
Boo. Spotlight. My new light. It is currently, I'm scared to check. My phone's on the charger. 1:06 a.m. Sunday, April 21st. Trust and believe. I am not up willingly to read this. I'm not gonna lie. I've been reading it for days now. This is probably day 4, which is not normal. I'm enjoying it, but anytime I start a book on Thursday, it's not gonna end well because I'm telling you, I don't read on the weekend. I don't know what to say. I just don't read Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The most I read is Monday through Thursday. It's just if I start a book on Thursday, I gotta get through a ton because chances are, if I only read about half, I might not read the second half Friday. I might read a couple of chapters. And that's kind of what happened with this. I'm just up. And it's like I might as well continue reading it so I can finish it. Hey. Long time no see. I have updates. I'm kind of in a slump, but I don't know what kind of a slump it is. Is it a life slump and it's affecting my books? I don't know. An Island Princess starts a scandal. I'm still reading. I think it's probably been a week. That means that because I'm still reading it, it's most likely going to affect my rating. And it's not a bad book. I don't know what it is anymore, but spicy books, I don't be that into it. You know what I mean? Like, that's actually why I started going more to the library. And I'm mentioning that because most of the time, books that I read physically aren't going to be spicy and they're going to be trad published. A lot of my Kindle books that I read are going to be spicy, eroticas, and they're going to be indie. I don't read a ton of spicy books physically. So An Island Princess Starts a Scandal, that's probably maybe my 10th book out of everything that I read that's physically, that's spicy, that I'm physically reading. It's just something about reading spicy scenes physically, it just throws me out. I think it's because of how I read. I don't know. But I'm also not really in the mood for it either. So I went ahead and started what's going to be the second book in here, The Henna Wars by Adiba Jagadar. Let me just say this. It's long. It's not quite 400 pages, I don't think. It's 383 pages. It reads very quickly. Just yesterday, I was able to read 119 pages. And that was even me taking a 4-minute nap during my lunch break yesterday. I don't know if it's because they're just the font is very large. I'm 31% of the way through. I'm on chapter 11. I'm not really enjoying it, which is fine, given that the video is called Third Time's a Charm. The other two books of hers that I did read, Hani and Ishi's Guide to Fake Dating, one of my all-time favorites, YA romances. I gave that book a 5-star. Then I read, not that long ago, maybe 2 months ago, A Million to One, which is a YA thriller, like a heist thriller. I gave that one a 4-star, but I think I gave it, and it's a 3, the average rating on Goodreads is a 3.45, so I was super nervous to read it. I think it's in the video where I'm reading different types of thrillers, but I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 4-star, but I might have given it like, I don't know, 4.25 maybe. So my options were The Henna Wars or The Do's and Donuts of Love. I actually got this book maybe January, maybe last year, but I think it was January of this year, and I just returned it. I wasn't ready to read it yet, and honestly, I think I'm maybe regretting not reading that one instead, because that's a 3.91. The Henna Wars is a 3.95. So this is about a girl named Nishat, and she is from Bangladesh. She is, I don't know, I think I was going to say Laphic. Because I didn't know if I wanted to say sapphic or lesbian. She is a lesbian. Recently just came out to her parents. It went well up front. She ends up hearing later on that they're not in support of that. That's all we found out so far within the first 100-ish pages. We haven't revisited that yet. She ends up going to a wedding. She sees Flavia for the first time in a couple of years. They went to school together. She is maybe Brazilian and something. Pretty sure her mom is Brazilian. I forgot what her name is. I just told you her name. Her name is Flavia. So they meet and we find out that Nisha has kind of like a little crush on her, which I'm not into it, only because they literally went to school maybe 2 years, 1 year, and it's like, you didn't remember her enough because she didn't even recognize, like she recognized her, but she didn't know where she recognized her from. But then all of a sudden she finally, like, it clicks in her brain, and she's like, oh yeah, like I'm crushing on her. What do you mean? You didn't even remember who she was. So I'm not really into that part, like I don't believe it. They end up going to school together. Flavia is now enrolled for the new year. In one of their classes, they need to make some kind of a business. It reminds me of that episode of That's So Raven, I think it's in season 1, or season 1 or 2, where they have to do the whole business thing, and they do a popcorn business, and I think that's when Adrian was still playing, I forgot her name, but the bully, because y'all remember they switched, and I forgot, Alana. I think that's when Adrian was still playing Alana, but then you remember they switched her out, and they got a different person, but she didn't replace Adrian by playing Alana, she just played Bianca! It's kind of like that. Creating a business, and whoever wins. She's Bangladeshi, so she is like, I'm going to do hennas because it's also a part of my culture. She decides she's going to do hennas too. Here's the kicker. It's not a part of her culture, you know? So that aspect, I can't approve of the romance. Because I understand you thinking something is cool and you want to do it and you might not be educated on it, but get educated. Our main character has already expressed her not liking that, so I'm going to be in support of that. Unless she ends up telling her soon, hey, I don't like that you're doing that. I don't think she's going to say anything soon, but we find out that her cousin is white, or at least she has white skin. That's how it's described. Nishat didn't even believe that they were cousins. We know as a reader that she has bullied Nishat, and she's just one of those people. I don't really have to explain. You know exactly how it is. You know, spreading rumors, but just also wanting to become, that's why they were friends, her and Flavia's cousin, but she wanted to be a part of the in crowd, and being a part of the in crowd apparently means that you need to bully someone who is not white and make fun of their food, you know, because it smells funny or it looks nasty. So they are not friends. Flavia has no idea. So that's also what's really kind of putting a damper on things, especially with Flavia doing henna, because the cousin is in support, and it's like, girl, you made fun of me and my culture, so how is it, you know what I mean? But anyways, I am reading it. It might be a 3-star. I feel like I'm picking the wrong books. I probably have to go. Oh, it's 6:49. Bye. Major update. I'm on my lunch. Just to mention it again, this book is going by so fast. I took my first break. Again, my first break is only 15 minutes. I read a good, 30 pages. Whatever I said earlier, that's where I started from. I'm on page 153 now. I'm not going to be rooting for the romance, I can tell you that now. I don't like the sister. Nishat has a younger sister, I think by 1 year. Her name is Preeti? I think it's Preeti. Priti. Honestly, y'all, I don't think I have enough time to talk about it. So I'm going to have to come back when I get home. Sorry. What is wrong with the people in this book? Remind me to tell y'all about the parents, Preeti, Flavia in China, and the friend, Jess. This is about to be a long clip when I get home. I'm back. I'm home. I do have some notes that I might be looking down on because I don't want to miss anything. One thing that I will say that I love about this author, because again, this is my 3rd book. This is the 2nd one that's dealing with a heavier topic. I'm gonna actually read the trigger warnings. It says this book contains instances of racism, homophobia, bullying, and a character being outed. She has this way of writing scenes that just evoke so much emotion from me. Not like it's the best literature I've ever read, but just the way the scenes are playing out. And I just can't help but feel so much for Nishat because I just feel like everyone's out to get her. I had mentioned that we hadn't really revisited her outing herself, not outing herself, but coming out to her parents, but we have now. Now we're getting more moments of that. And it's just so heartbreaking because it's like they're all for her being herself except when it comes to that, right? They want her to suppress that. It's also playing out with Preeti. I mentioned her, and that's her sister. Don't feel like there's that big of a sisterly bond between them. Yes, there's a bond because they're sisters, but I don't think it's as strong as Nishat thinks, because Preeti, for one, she's done so many things, right? I mentioned I just don't like her. One, I can tell that she also doesn't want Nishat to really come out either, which she's already out. But you can tell that she probably shares the same views as their parents. But also, the biggest thing is, remember I said China. Race China. Them not liking each other. Tell me why Preeti gets invited to China's party and she goes. Ooh. Was that the popo? Hold on, y'all. I'm a very nosy person. Yeah, she's invited to China's party and she goes. Not only does Preeti go, she invites her sister Nishat. I'm like, this, what is going on? Why would you do that? Especially because you are her sister. You know the whole story. When they go, Preeti literally abandons her at the party. What? And her best friend tells her like, hey, yeah, your classmates are in the other room. And the whole time, she's hoping that her sister says, well, yeah, but she can stay, She's looking at her shoes. Really? I mean, I don't have any siblings, but golly, you'd swear like she did it on purpose. And I have an inkling of something. I don't know if that just made sense. Sometimes I know words and don't know how to use them. I feel like I know something. I hope it's not true. I doubt it's true because I don't think we would go there. Now, getting on to Jess, right? I mentioned Jess. Okay, so she has her core group of friends. It's 2 people. It's Jess and Chaewon, Chaewon, I believe. And she is Korean. So, right, they have to do this business. Yeah, Chaew. Chaewon, it's probably Chaewon. I doubt you pronounce that CH. But anyways, she's Korean, Jess is white. Well, probably Irish because this is where it's taking place. Ireland, I believe, because our author is Bangladeshi and Irish. It's this group project, this business that they're supposed to do, and Chaewon and Jess are in her group. However, they're not really happy with doing the henna tattoos. So they're talking about it. Nishat is telling them why she wants to go through with this business idea, why she wants to beat China and Flavia. To expound on that, I think the reason why Nishat does not want Flavia to do this, yes, a good part of it is the cultural appropriation part. She's offended. She doesn't want that to happen. But I think the biggest thing is knowing that China is a part of it. Now, mind you, China is white. She is the cousin of Flavia. And I think it's that connection right there that she just does not like. Which brings me to Jess. Nishat mentions when they're talking to Jess and K1, you know, she just plainly says, China's racist. Like, duh. Here comes Jess. I was just so shocked. Well, I shouldn't have been. I guess I was because I thought that they were very close friends. And you would think that the friends would have each other's backs. I was a little shocked with the reaction that Jess had. And it just put a bad taste in my mouth. I think that was everyone that I mentioned that I didn't like. I think it could be a 4. I just hope it doesn't become a romance. Because now I'm second guessing myself. I thought it was a romance. But I don't remember where I saw that. Yeah, it says it right here. As the competition heats up, Nishat has a decision to make. Stay in the closet for her family or put aside her differences with Flavia and give their relationship a chance. What relationship? Hello. Let's try that again. Hello. Today's Friday. I have 2 updates for y'all. I gave this a 3-star. This was not my favorite book by the author. I'm glad that I read this later because when it comes to authors who aren't new to the stuff and they have, you know, multiple books, I prefer to read whatever book, recent book of theirs caught my attention first, and then later on I will read their debut. But almost always I don't like the debut, so I would rather not read that first. Comparing it to the other 2 books that I read, it did read younger, which I told myself I would never take points off for that anymore because it's YA. But it's just, I guess the YA age range is so vast. Like, I would say YA to me is like 12-ish to like 17. To me, this book fits on the lower end of those ages, you know, so 12 to, you know, 15 maybe. I'm obviously not that age. I like the way the author writes drama. Those characters, you know, I do like when a book can get some reactions out of me, not just like, oh, like I love this, but like frustrating, you know, reactions, anger. I like that. Okay, I do have an update for An Island Princess Starts a Scandal. I did finish it. I gave it a 3.75. Now, here's the thing. I don't think I loved this. I'm trying to see when I started this. I started this on the 17th of April. This took me 8 days. Ridiculous. I just can't give it a 4-star because it took me so long to read. However, I also don't want to take too many points off because maybe I just wasn't that much into a romance when I started this. But I did need to at least take some points off because the book wasn't good enough to keep my attention. And another thing that I didn't like, which is stupid because the first book is like that as well, the insta-love. I get it because the first book has insta-love. But I think the difference is that in the first book, I wouldn't necessarily say enemies to lovers because it's one-sided. And that's my favorite kind of enemies to lovers, where one of the characters... So I guess it's like a mixture of Grumpy Sunshine and enemies to lovers, even though it's one-sided. But I love that. And that's how the first book is. It's insta-love, but there's this dislike and not wanting to like them. And in this book... in this book, it's more so insta-love and instant attraction. Now, I'm kind of second-guessing myself now because I don't remember if they were instantly attracted to each other. As far as the deal between them, Cora showing Manuela, you know, the different places for lesbians specifically, but just showing her around, you know, being her tour guide in Paris. I wasn't satisfied with that part because it's like we got the first date in detail and then all of a sudden we summarize, I think I mentioned that in here, the 4 dates after. It happens again towards the end where we get that final date, like the last 2 dates maybe, or the last date for sure. It felt like that was going to be the meat of the book and it wasn't. There is a little drama towards the end that I enjoyed, but it happened, you know, at the end. So I'm not that confident in my rating of a 3.75. Next, I'm going to be reading Kristen Forrest. I had so many books to pick from because, y'all, I can't tell you how many books of hers I have on my TBR that I didn't even realize was her. So the books of hers that I read was The Neighbor Favor and The Partner Plot. I preferred The Neighbor Favor. I think I gave it like a 4.75. And then I think I gave The Partner Plot like a 4.25 or a 4-star. I'll tell you my options that I had and what I went with. This has been on my radar before I even knew it was her. Now That I Found You, I Want to Be Where You Are, and Zyla and Kai. Zyla and Kai, I did recently add it to my list because I saw it was by her, but both I Want to Be Where You Are and Now That I Found You, I had on my list and just didn't even know it was the same author as The Neighbor Favor. I am going with Now That I Found You. I need to go pick it up from the library today, so I will read a little bit while I'm there. Hey, update her. So I'm actually going to do a little book haul before I start. Seriously, right next to me. Anyways, I'm going to go about my business. I'm in my own car. Don't watch me. Okay, so I still have some books at home. I returned 3 today. I was only supposed to be picking up 3. And then 2 days ago, I logged into my library account and I had 6 books on hold. Yeah. But I realized that 3 of them were books that recently have come out and I had my library get them, and so I was the first person in line, and they didn't email me or anything, so it's just on there. 2 of them are still not in yet, but I did get one, so I have 4 books. And it's this one, You Know What You Did, a first-generation Vietnamese American artist. These are the ones that I already had on hold. Pet by Readwkc. A Black Girl Survives in this one. It's in one of my new release videos where I go over new releases for the month. It's an anthology, so maybe that could be its own video where I just kind of rank the stories maybe. The book that is in this video, Now That I Found You. I only read, because I read in the library, I've only read 47 pages. And I'm loving it. I guess you could kind of say that I went into it a little blind because something happened in the book and I was like, what? But I don't want to say because I haven't read the synopsis, even though it happened early on. But let me see. Evie Jones. And I said this was YA. This might actually be new adult. I'm not expecting spice. I don't want no spice in here. But, and I guess the characters do look a little grown on the cover. Okay, 18-year-old Evie Jones. But I think she's already graduated from high school, or she's in her final, no. Yeah, she's already graduated. Evie Jones has a very famous grandmother who was an actress. Something happened years ago and she interrupted her current husband's speech. Well, no, she was giving a speech, but she went off the rails, and so she was blacklisted and stuff. We're in the present now, and she's being awarded an award. In the present, we have our granddaughter named Evie. She's 18, and she is an up-and-coming actress herself. She is betrayed, and y'all, I'm so mad for her, and I hope we get some revenge in this book. She thinks that being seen with her grandmother, I guess, out in public will kind of save her career. The problem is the grandma don't go nowhere. Evie has flown to New York because that's where her grandma stays. And she's there to convince her to attend this award ceremony for herself because Evie's going to present her with it. However, while she's there, I think it said days before, she's gonna go missing. There's also a young guy named Milo who is not really living with the grandma, but he's there a lot. I've just met him in person this chapter that I just read, and they're both, I guess, gonna try and find her together, and I have a feeling that whatever reason she disappeared for, we're gonna connect it back to whatever happened in the past, why she went off the rails in her speech. 5 stars. I did post something on my Instagram stories yesterday that I was only 63 pages in, but I was asking whether or not it was too early to predict this as being a 5 star. Apparently it was not too early because I absolutely love this. With that being said, there are 2 things that I could gripe about. But I will also tell you why I'm not changing my rating. The first thing that I will mention is the ending. The ending ends abruptly in my opinion. However, the reason I'm not going to take points off, you know, and give it like a 0.75 or anything is because the story itself played out like a movie. And I know that when books go from page to screen, things are always changed. That's just a fact. If you read a book and you watch the movie or the TV show, something is going to be different. With this one, if you were to actually just not change anything and just, you know, make a script from this without changing anything and just put it on the big screen, it would be screen ready, movie theater ready. It was just that good. So that's why I'm not complaining about the ending, because it makes sense and it goes well with this being like movie style, if that makes sense. The second thing, our main character is betrayed, and I was really looking forward to there being some kind of revenge. Without spoiling anything, there really wasn't any revenge. Like, it wasn't as dramatic as I would want it to, but it makes sense with the story, which is why I'm not taking points off, because that's not the main plot. That's the catalyst. That's what happens at the beginning, and that's how everything else unfolds. So without that moment, we wouldn't have had this book. I don't think that we needed some kind of resolution, because it's like, it is what it is. The book itself, though, I was engaged. The drama that it did have was really good. The romance was good. It was just a really good book, and I'm glad that I am ending this video with it, because the other 2 books didn't go as I would have wanted. I think I can say that Christina Forrest is a new favorite author of mine, and I want to read some more of her books before something else comes out. I'm going to try and catch up really quick. I don't think I have that many other books to read, and I believe I read at the end of this is her sophomore novel, so this is not her debut, which I think I thought it was, but it's not. I'm ending it on a good note, and with that being said, I'll see you next week. Bye.